All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Got an awesome one for you today. So Bernie Sanders has now entered his final form. He went on one of the Sunday shows and absolutely dropped an anvil on top of the anchor's head. We'll talk about that. Ann Coulter is airing out all the dirty laundry in right-wing media and among conservative politicians. That is a fun story. We have John Fetterman has now been hospitalized, and it's... Look, I'm not going to spoil the story now, but he's hospitalized for something that is not exactly a physical ailment. A lot to say on that front. And then we also have Don Lemon might be outski at CNN. That's right. The guy has been there for, if I had to guess, like about a decade, and he might be going gonzo. So let's go ahead and kick it off here. So this is being reported by the Daily Beast. Exclusive, Don Lemon will not appear on CNN's This Morning, Monday, as his future on the show continues to be discussed at the highest levels within the network, according to two people familiar with the matter. So the headline is Don Lemon benched on Monday over sexist remark scandal, insiders say. So Crystal and I talked about this on last week's Crystal, Kyle and Friends because the clip was fresh and it just dropped. So just to refresh everybody, exactly what the back and forth was that got him in hot water and now makes it so that he's at the very least suspended from his morning show. He might actually be fired. I guess we'll find out and see very soon. But here's what he said.
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. Oh, I got another.
I'm not saying I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that politicians aren't in their prime.
We need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for like childbearing, or are you talking about prime for being president?
What the facts are. Google it. Everybody at home. When is a woman in her prime? It says 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm just saying Nikki Haley should be careful about saying that politicians are not in their prime and they need to be in their prime when they serve, because she wouldn't be in her prime according to
Google
or whatever it is. This whole talk about.
So after those comments, it was like a nuclear explosion went off inside the CNN building. Apparently, one of the hosts kind of stormed off the set as soon as they got to their next commercial break. They were needling him later on in the show over the comments. And look, I mean, I don't want to be an asshole, even though I'm kind of going to be an asshole. But the fact of the matter is, Don Lemon is just not that smart. Because, of course, what he's referring to, and he doesn't even realize he's referring to this, which is insane. But he's referring to there, but what he's referring to is childbearing, right? Like, when is a woman in her prime? Basically, to give birth, you're in your prime, whatever he said, from 20 to 40-ish, right? And it's like, that is nothing at all like, being in the business world or being in the political world. A woman can hit her prime at, like, any age. You could have a hot start, and at the age of 21, all of a sudden, you're a world beater in whatever field you're in, or you could be a late bloomer, and at the age of 70... you could be at the top of your field. You can work your way up the ranks casually. The idea that he doesn't realize before he opens his mouth there that his point is idiotic is amazing to me. Like, dude, how dumb are you? You didn't stop and think for like 2 seconds? Well, hold on now. Is there a difference between like childbearing prime and, life prime? Or like business/political prime? Because what he's trying to do here is run interference for Joe Biden, because Nikki Haley was taking shots at Joe Biden, and one of the arguments that she leans into is I'm younger, I'm a woman, it's time for a new generation of leadership. Now those are all hollow arguments, no doubt about it, and we've criticized them ourselves here on this show. But the way he responds to it is honestly dumber than even the original argument from Nikki Haley. Bro, you're not even in your prime. You're not in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, so I don't even know what you're talking about, because she's 51 years old. And it's like, hey, idiot, apples and oranges. This conversation has gone off the rails. So this led to a lot of trouble behind the scenes at CNN, and apparently there was some group phone call with the other CNN hosts and the other employees, and a lot of people were really mad at him over it, and so then he kind of bent the knee and was like, I'm sorry if I offended anybody, it wasn't my intention, and clearly what I said was wrong, and all this stuff. But it was after he issued the apology that we get the news that, hey, dog, sorry, you're not going to be on your morning show. By the way, a bunch of interesting stuff about that morning show behind the scenes. It has abysmal ratings, and you could kind of tell from this clip, but it's clear from other clips as well. The hosts hate each other. They all hate each other. Every single one of them is like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing here? So the old morning show got better ratings. I would say had better hosts, but that's relative, and I don't think many of the CNN hosts are good at all, right? But they hate each other. They have terrible ratings. They've been slipping and slipping and slipping. They don't know what to do. Clearly, there's no interesting dynamic or chemistry between any of them. And so I think they just use this as an excuse, honestly, to say, all right, let's move this guy. Let's move him. He used to do a night show, and then they moved him to this morning show. And he didn't do too well in the night spot, and now he's definitely not doing too well in the morning spot. So, again, what we learned is he ain't going to be in that morning show anymore. Still an open question as to whether or not they're going to shuffle him to a different hour, have him basically be suspended for a little bit, come back, shuffle him to a different hour, or get rid of him. But look, again, at risk of sounding like a total D-bag here, you got to get rid of him. He's just not good at his job, right? I'm not saying get rid of him over this idiotic comment. I'm saying get rid of him because he's never been good at his job. So some of Don Lemon's greatest hits that we've covered over the years, these are my two favorite I'm going to share with you. This was all the way back in 2014. CNN's Don Lemon asks if a black hole could have swallowed the missing plane. So for those of you who weren't old enough at the time, weren't following the news, whatever, there was this, I think it was a Malaysian plane that went missing, and it got like a week of nonstop hair on fire coverage. Now, of course, we learned later on the plane had crashed. Terrible tragedy, etc. But there was a lot of like wild and rampant speculation in the moment just to sort of generate headlines, have the breaking news banner on there, drive up ratings, because whenever there's breaking news, CNN actually does better than Fox News and the other outlets. So for a long time, they've abused that breaking banner. They would say, one time they put, breaking, the Titanic sank 102 years ago today. I wish I was kidding. I'm not kidding. That's actually what happened. So Don Lemon goes on air and he speculated casually like, maybe a black hole could have swallowed the missing plane. Again, he says these things, he doesn't realize how they're like 70 IQ comments. Dude, you're just outing yourself as a colossal moron. Of course a black hole did not swallow the plane. By the way, scientists can literally like monitor black holes, far out there in space. And you think what? One opened up near Malaysia and nobody noticed and the plane went in? Like, what are we talking about? Okay, so this was an early sign of like, this guy ain't playing with a full deck, dog. He's got a couple jacks, couple queens missing. Then, this one we just covered the other day. This wasn't that long ago. This was January 21st. Don Lemon responded to Stephen Colbert because Stephen Colbert made a joke about him wearing like a suit jacket with a hoodie. And Colbert was just needling, having fun. Look, I think Stephen Colbert likes CNN. He likes Don Lemon. So he was just having a little bit of fun, needling them, making fun of it because, of course, it's a bold choice, right? To wear a hoodie with a suit jacket. I mean, that's bold. Even if you like it, it's bold. And Don Lemon went on air the next day and was super offended by it and super sensitive about it and couldn't take a joke clearly. And he compared it to when Barack Obama was, he was getting endless crap for that tan suit that he wore. He compared it to Trayvon Martin wearing a hoodie. He made it like this racial thing where, Stephen Colbert might be a racist and might be a bigot for making a little lighthearted joke at his goofy outfit. And of course it was like a how dare you moment from Don Lemon. How dare you what? It's amazing to me. It really is, because I'm in a somewhat similar position where I'm a YouTuber. It's not nearly the same thing as being, what he is. But at a certain point, you realize it is wise to avoid like the endless parade of negative comments, especially ones that are, sometimes there are criticisms that are substantive, and that's all fair and that's all fine. And sometimes you can improve based on the substantive criticisms. But there's plenty of comments that are just, mean-spirited and dumb. This wasn't even mean-spirited and dumb, right? But, like, you don't engage on that stuff. You don't like, act... I bet he's a name searcher. I bet he's one of those people who goes to Twitter and types in Don Lemon and reads everybody just taking a massive dump on his face. And it's like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? I don't understand why you would do that. I don't understand why you wouldn't hear the Stephen Colbert thing and say, all right, you know what? He got me on this one. A little goofy outfit. I was trying something risky. Maybe it didn't pay off in the eyes of some, so let's just go ahead and keep it moving. Couldn't do it. Took it as a massive personal slight. So anyway, now these things are sort of non-substantive, and they just speak to his personal character, how sensitive he is, and how dumb he is when it comes to certain things. But make no mistake about it, his politics also are trash, son. He is the quintessential, like, corporate Democrat apologist. Rah, rah, corporate Democrats, rah, rah, yay. Sell out more to big business, hooray. Like, that's his whole gig. Run interference for Biden, run interference for the corporate Democrats, try to act like it's the left flank. Oh, they're not serious. Who are we kidding? And, of course, go after the right and Trump supporters, but not in a way that's substantive and intelligent and can change minds, more in a way that just makes people hate you and get defensive. So actively harms his own cause of trying to, like, get people out of the right. So anyway, he might be gonzo, dog. He might be going gonzies. And kind of like Chris Cuomo, right? I don't know how well his career would go once he gets off of CNN. Like, Chris Cuomo went on News Nation, this new upstart, like, news network, and he gets 7 viewers a night. And what would Don Lemon do? Would he go to News Nation and have the same thing happen as well? Chris Cuomo's open now about the fact, like, nobody's watching me. What are you going to do? You gonna start a podcast, Don Lemon? Let me know how that goes. Let me know how that ranks. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.